just open your mind up to these possibilities that, hey, change is coming, really, regardless of whether or not, you may like it. It helps everyone in the long run to think in this way. And to tie back that economic piece into it, there's many ways that you can display systems thinking when it comes to terms of sustainability with the products you buy. I'm a global business major, so I'm always thinking on that economic scale, from the products you buy to the companies you choose to allow into your home to work with, to the companies that you even support in any way, shape, or form. That is one of the examples in how social equity has influence, because we as people influence the market. So by choosing what we purchase, by choosing who we allow to service us, or what organizations get the most attention, whether that be through social media, which is, of course, our biggest thing, or direct action, that is how we all kind of play a role into it. And that leads into so many other things. Just that recognition of, okay, I can play this role of sustainability economically. I can also be involved in the social sphere, and I can also be involved in the natural sphere just by making minor changes to my life. That's something that I think is a good first step for people who look at these issues as, to be the big daunting issues that they are. But, we all have a role. This, 8 billion people probably now? I don't even know.
We're getting there. We're almost there.
Yeah. All it takes is just that 1% from everybody makes a tremendous difference. So, I would definitely like to highlight more of what these issues are, which is going to dive deeper into the economic field of it, because industrial production, fossil fuels, just even building buildings, transportation, the industrial aspect of things is where a lot of these anthropogenic effects come from. Anthropogenic being man-made issues, climate change, oil spills in open waters. A lot of that comes from that field. So I would like to get your take specifically on, what do you think are some of the bigger issues coming out of the economic capital, and how we can take more action in that field?
Okay. You learn early, money talks. Out of the three capitals, we ended up with, well, there's the environmental capital that makes the human capital, social capital possible, which makes the economic capital possible. There are Nobel Prize winning economists who are advocating in the last couple of decades, who are advocating sustainable capitalism, which is capitalism. You're competitive, you're making profits, you want to perform for your stakeholders, but you also don't want to throw your grandchildren off the cliff in terms of resource availability. So in terms of the opportunities on the economic capital side, it's really important, and it's not hard to be reminded of this, to understand that out of the three caps, the little one in the middle that depends on everything else is actually the tail that wags the dog. The social and natural capital are very much at the mercy of the decisions and the trends and the consumption patterns that are evolving from 2020's 21st century economic paradigms and behavior patterns. So another thing that's fascinating about the last 30, 40 years of human history is that many of the titans of the old school economic capital, the tail that wagged the dog for the rest of the planet, are beginning to understand that it's not only economics. There's a phrase that was made famous in a movie in the 80s, greed is good, which was a paraphrase of a variety of writings that came out of the 60s and 70s as a response to early embryonic stage sustainable economics, saying, no, it's all about the shareholders. It's not about anything else but generating profit. When these very prominent economists were really getting explicit about making these claims in for example, the early 70s. They were reflecting the dominant viewpoint. It's about money. What's really interesting is that has slowly, but actually not slowly on the time scale of the last few decades, that is increasingly rapidly become untenable in the modern business environment. There are sustainability initiatives in almost any major company you can name. There are so many sustainability positions being hired with the term sustainability in the job title or not. And that's because folks doing business now are aware of a concept that's really foundational, and it comes full circle with the three capitals. And it's the concept of the triple bottom line.
Yep.
The TBL, the triple bottom line, brings this all together. And that is, in the day, the only bottom line was the old school bottom line. At the end of the year in your annual report, did you make a profit or not?
Mm-hmm.
And so what has evolved now is the idea of, on your annual reports, you not only report, of course, your profit loss margin, which you should be super focused on, but you also report a second accounting criterion, which is social capital performance, as well as economic performance. And there's a third, which is the natural environmental capital performance. So many companies now, bigger companies, now as a part of their annual report, either as a part of that or as a subsidiary report, they report not only on their old school economic capital, but they report on all three capitals with triple bottom line accounting. And so major accounting firms now have departments dedicated to doing accounting on these metrics and variables for social performance and environmental performance that 30 years ago people were saying weren't possible to measure. You can measure social performance in lots of ways. You can start with the number of lawsuits you're getting for sexual harassment if you're a big company within. There's many ways, it turns out, to do cost accounting for social metrics and indirect and direct cost accounting for environmental impacts, including now greenhouse gas emissions. And so many companies are trying to begin these measuring and monitoring and reporting processes as a way to get baselines and to improve their performance. And what you get from that, there's a variety of things, and this all collectively falls under another realm you mentioned, I think, early on, corporate social responsibility.
Correct.
So two very important acronyms: CSR, corporate social responsibility; TBL, triple bottom line accounting. And so now people, big companies, medium companies, some small companies are doing this because you get typically a more valuable customer base, a customer base that's better educated, a customer base that often has more spending money, a customer base that is willing to, as you were talking about earlier, ping the system by going out of their way a little bit to get a greener product. That might mean spending an extra 50 cents on a cup of coffee. But there's what we're finding is there's a big market for this.
There is.
Other drivers of the CSR and TBL revolution that is just swept through. It's not sweeping through, it's swept through, and we're in our additional waves now of global economic capital, are realities like, not only do you get often a better type of customer, but here's a really important thing in hardcore business: you're doing risk management. If you're paying attention to your social capital more and your environmental capital more, you're lowering substantially your risk of lawsuits. You're lowering risks to your brand reputation, etc. Another reason for this is that you often, in many companies, there's a lot of growing literature on this, you get employees that can be considered better. A lot of the highest ranked employees in a variety of markets, they want to work for a company doing triple bottom line accounting. They want to work for a company where they know that if it's a female, the odds of being harassed are less. They want to know if you're Asian, African American, Hispanic, the odds of being treated differently are less. They want to know that the products are not having an outrageous environmental impact on the front end, etc. So there's a variety of drivers that are creating this after several hundred years of this phenomenal economic system called capitalism. People now are using phrases routinely: sustainable capitalism, capitalism that integrates these concepts, and everybody still makes a lot of money.
Green economics.
And the money is distributed in ways that are more equitable on the back end, with less impact on the front end. And your generation, you guys are going to be the ones carrying this flag for the next 50 years.
Yes, sir.
And so any way we can get folks more informed on CSR and TBL, the better. Google search corporate social responsibility, Google search triple bottom line.
Yep.